We've had our Google Assistant smart clock made by Lenovo for over 6 months now, so in this review I'm going to go over the top features of the device, how it's held up over the past 6 months, some downsides we've had with the device, and some recommendations if you're stuck picking between this device, a Nest Mini, or a Nest Hub. Let's dive in. Released midway through 2019, the Lenovo Google Assistant Smart Clock is a small speaker device with a screen that's made to sit on your nightstand. The device has a nice fabric design that fits well within Google's other speaker products. The screen is a 4-inch 480 by 800 IPS touchscreen that displays the time and other text as well. On top of the smart clock are plus and minus buttons to control the volume. The microphones for the Google Assistant are right above the screen on the top, and at the back you'll find a power jack, mute switch, and USB-A port so you can plug in your phone or watch charger. So that's the design of the smart clock, but now I want to dive into the user experience and some of my favorite features. Now, one of the main reasons you'd get a device like this is because it's a Google Assistant speaker with a display that shows the time and the weather, and the UI reflects that. You swipe to the left to go through the main screens in the UI, which include the main screen that shows the time, the alarm screen where you can set multiple alarm schedules for different situations in your life, a music playlist page, and a calendar event screen, which shows you events coming up from your Google Calendar. You can swipe to the right to get out of whatever screen you're on and back to a previous screen. Swiping up from the bottom shows you your typical Google Assistant display settings, including volume controls, brightness settings, do not disturb mode, and further system settings. Do note that the smart clock does have an ambient brightness setting, but it does not change the color temperature of the display like it does on the Nest Hub. Swiping down from the top shows you your smart home controls, like turning off your smart lights in the room that your Google Assistant smart clock is located in, a shortcut to a routine like good night, an alarm settings button, and a shortcut to play some music. In the past 6 months, the screen I've used the most with this device is the alarm screen. Now, here at 6 Months Later Reviews, the reason why we do long-term reviews is so we can show you how well a product has integrated into our daily routines and what the overall impact of that product has been on our lives over an extended period of time. Now, for the Lenovo Smart Clock, I can say that the alarm screen is one of the major things that has had an impact on my life using this device, and it's one of the things I use the most. In fact, if you're choosing between the smart clock and a Nest Mini, I think one of the main reasons you would likely choose the smart clock over the Nest Mini is the alarm screen. The reason for this is the UI simplifies creating specific multi-day or single-day alarms that are easy to toggle on and off, which is not as easy to do on the Nest Hub and is certainly much harder to do when you're just using your voice with a Google Assistant speaker. Often I wake up at different times throughout the week because I'll either have an early morning call or I'll be working from home one day and will sleep in an extra 30 minutes or so. So I love the ability to toggle on and off different alarms for the work week. Now, you also have other settings that are easily available, like the alarm tones and even the ability for Google AI to choose a different alarm for you every morning. Now, if you want to wake up to a specific song or playlist, unfortunately you can't do that from the alarm screen on the device. However, you can set up one of these alarms by using your voice. For example, create a music alarm.
Got it. When for?
For 7:30 a.m.
Got it. And what would you like me to play?
High Hopes by Panic at the Disco.
Okay, I'll play the song High Hopes for tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.
You can also create weekday or weekend alarms with music by using voice commands as well, like create a weekday music alarm. If you're like me and dislike waking up, you can actually pound the smart clock when the alarm goes off, which will then trigger it to either snooze or shut off the alarm entirely. Another big impact that I found with this device is how effective it displays the temperature and current weather conditions. Now, part of this has to do with its placement on my nightstand. When you think about it, the nightstand is actually a pretty valuable piece of real estate for a tech product in your home. With this device, out of all of my other Google devices with screens, I've found that I pay attention to the weather information the most with the Lenovo smart clock on my nightstand. And that's because I'm looking at the screen when I'm going to bed at night, as well as looking at it when I get up in the morning. There's a clock face you can set that will show you the current weather conditions by displaying different graphics in the background, which is pretty cool. Speaking of clock faces, you also have some options here, and changing the clock faces is easy. Just tap and hold the current clock face on the screen. Then you'll be able to choose a different clock face and customize it a bit, from changing the color of the clock to toggling on or off an info ticker or weather information. One clock face can even display photos from various photo albums that you have in Google Photos, just like the Nest Hub can. Now, if you're deciding between this device and a device like a Nest Hub or a Nest Mini, another key factor in your decision is likely going to be sound quality. So here's a sound comparison between all three devices. Personally, I think the Nest Mini actually has the best sound overall. Google improved the bass over the original Google Home Mini, and it does show. The Lenovo Smart Clock does have a clear sound to it, it just doesn't quite have as much bass. Now for my setup, I already had a Google Home Max on my nightstand, so what I did is I enabled a setting with my smart clock to where any sound that would normally come out of the smart clock will actually come out of the Google Home Max. Now, the last main feature of the Google Assistant Smart Clock is the Google Assistant itself. The Google Assistant on this device can do the same things as the Assistant on other devices, like the Nest Hub, though the screen on this device is smaller. You can still see items on your lists, calendar invites, graphics for routines, and even dictionary word spellouts. In the 6 months I've been living with the Google Assistant Smart Clock, I haven't had any reliability issues, and I've only found one downside, which is that the Lenovo Smart Clock cannot automatically turn off its display in low light situations. Now, let me go into detail here and explain exactly what I mean. With the Nest Hub and Nest Hub Max, there's a setting that you can enable where the display will turn all the way off when the device detects the lights have turned off around it. For a smart clock on my nightstand whose screen faces my bed, I really wish it had a setting through the Google Home app to enable this. For those times where I, like many of you out there, perhaps wake up in the middle of the night and don't really want to know what time it is. Because often, at least in my experience, and I know other people are like this as well, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, you'll see what time it is, and then you'll either worry about work in the morning or something you have to do, and it just causes more thoughts to go through your head that make it harder to actually get back to sleep. For now, there's a workaround to do this. Just tell the Google Assistant Smart Clock to turn off the screen, and the screen will turn off. Overall though, I've quite enjoyed using the Google Assistant Smart Clock made by Lenovo. I found that for certain use cases, it actually outshines the Nest Mini and the Nest Hub. Now, if you're someone trying to decide between which of these devices to get, here are some recommendations based on certain scenarios. For a device that you want on your nightstand that you don't primarily care about being a photo frame, I'd say go for the Lenovo Smart Clock. If you want more of a photo frame, then go for the Nest Hub. And if you're more price conscious in general and just want a Google Assistant speaker, then the Nest Mini is going to be the no-brainer. Well, that's it for our review of the Google Assistant Smart Clock made by Lenovo. If you liked this video and found it helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up button below and subscribe to the channel for more Google Assistant related videos like this one. For 6 months later, I'm Josh Tedder. Thanks for watching.